If you like that little intro jam, I'll put the full thing at the end of the video. It's taken from a lesson I did over on Patreon that was inspired by this guitar because of just the different notes that it brings out, the different resonance it has. But we'll talk about that when we get to the pickup section. Let's talk about my initial impressions of this PRS DGT SC guitar, aka the guitar of 2023 that everyone is hyping and raving about. The question is everyone correct? Is this truly going to be the best budget guitar of the year? I got this guitar in literally last night. I did a live unboxing on the channel and I've been playing it all morning ever since. So I put about 4 or 5 hours into this guitar and I do have some good things to talk about today. Quick reminder, this video is not sponsored. I bought this with my own money. I can say whatever I want to say. Okay, starting from the headstock and working our way down. The first thing that I noticed about this guitar was, of course, the tuners when I went to change the strings, tune it up, etc. And if you're watching a Gibson experiment, you know that I immediately changed the tuners on my Gibson guitar because they weren't great. And in general, whenever I get a guitar that doesn't have locking tuners, I usually change them out pretty quickly. I have to say, these tuners are not locking, but I don't feel the need to change them out because they're working really well. The buttons are really big. The twisting is very smooth. Nothing is snagging. It just feels like a high quality tuner, and I'm happy to see that on this guitar. Now, the next thing that I noticed, and I know a bunch of you are going to be like, you're being so ridiculous, this is not a big deal, but I did notice it. I love the truss rod cover on this guitar, and here's why. There is just one screw. One screw holding the truss rod cover in place. And again, this is not a huge deal, but I have my Gibson guitar that I've been playing lately, and that truss rod cover has what? 2 screws. One of my favorite guitars back here, my Angelico guitar, truss rod cover. What does it have? 2 screws. We don't need extra screws on the guitar. It just makes things move slower. And I'm going to talk about screws on the guitar a little bit more again later, so let's just keep going. So tuners are working great. Truss rod cover, 1 screw, A+, really enjoy that. When I was restringing it and setting it up my own way today, as soon as I tightened the truss rod cover a little bit with these new strings, literally everything just fell into place. So in terms of how it came from the factory, I have to say they did a great job. The nut is cut well, the frets are leveled well, a tiny truss rod adjustment, and everything just fell into place. No other adjustments needed, apart from the springs in the back because I changed strings. So we have nickel frets here, and I will say they are leveled really nicely, and they're polished really nicely as well. In terms of the fret ends, I would say that they're very good, but they're not perfect. I have a few very, very minuscule sharp fret edges on this first fret on the top area. This is not something that I would ever notice when I was playing. In fact, when I was unboxing this guitar live on YouTube, I didn't notice it at all until someone said, hey, check the fret ends. And I'm like, okay, 1 or 2 are not perfect, but this is not a big deal for this price range. I think this is a really good fret job, all things considered, especially since they are leveled and polished really well right from the factory. So good job there as well. I'll give it an A-. Now, in terms of the neck itself, the neck is finished in some type of gloss on the back, as you can see. So we have that shiny gloss type situation instead of the more popular matte and satin finishes that are coming on a lot of the guitars today. Generally speaking, I don't personally like a gloss finish on the back of a neck, but in the case of this guitar, it hasn't been bothering me. And I'm not sure if their gloss is slightly different than other glosses, but I'm not sticking to this whatsoever. It's very comfortable, it's very smooth. And in fact, if you watch the channel, you may know that my all-time favorite guitar is the Parker Knifefly. Parker Knifeflies also have a gloss type finish on the back. So just because something has a gloss finish doesn't mean that it's bad. I don't think that satin and matte finishes always need to be the case on a guitar. A lot of glosses are very sticky, and that's what gets us annoyed as a guitarist. This gloss is not sticky whatsoever. Again, I've been playing it for about 4 or 5 hours today. No sticking, nothing like that whatsoever. So I'm really enjoying the finish on the back of the neck. In terms of the neck shape, it's pretty much just a C shape. I will say if you are annoyed like I am about the modern modern C-shaped neck that's on every single guitar. This one does feel a little bit fatter than the standard modern C, and that makes me happy as someone who likes a slightly fatter neck. It's not so fat that it's going to bother you if you have small hands. It's definitely not a huge baseball bat type neck, but it does feel different than every other guitar that I have tried in this price range. So again, really happy about that. So when we look at the front of the guitar, when most people think about PRS, they think about the really expensive, fancy, high-end bird inlays and the iridescent bird inlays, and I think that they're beautiful. I showed them to Mystery Girl all the time, and she's like, oh my god, it's so pretty. Hey.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's really pretty. Do they make jewelry?
But me personally, I don't really like having a very flashy inlay on my guitar. Again, a lot of my favorite guitars don't have inlays at all, so the whole flashy bird inlay thing is not for me. So when I saw this guitar and I saw this version that has the gold top and these crescent moon inlays, I got really excited. And I will say, as good as they look online, they look even better in person. And that's because the inlay itself is not just a half moon inlay, it's a full circle inlay. But then you have a different color for the half moon and then the black background. But the black background does have a bit of a, I don't know what you would call it, some type of color shifting in it. So it does look beautiful, and yet it's still subtle. I think PRS should offer these inlays on more guitars because, to me, for those who don't like the super flashy inlays like the birds, but also don't want something as basic as a plain dot, this is the perfect in-between. It's interesting, it's beautiful, but it's not as out there as the bird inlays for those who don't like that. So love these inlays, they look great. So quick summary of the neck. Very comfortable, slightly thicker than a modern C. Gloss, but the gloss is comfortable and it's not sticky. Really nice leveling. And overall, I would say this is a very, very well done neck. Good job, PRS. Now, as we move to the body, you're of course going to be taken back by that absolutely beautiful gold top. When I saw this online compared to the other colors, I knew I had to pick the gold top, and in person, it looks even better. Especially since we have a floating bridge with the gold top. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's continue to talk about this body. In addition to there being a cutaway because it's a double cut guitar, we do have an extra scoop on the front of the guitar for high fret access. So high fret access on this guitar has a bit of problem. It's very comfortable moving all the way up. Some people complain about the really big PRS heel joint, and I understand why some people might not like that feature, but if we're being honest, when I put my thumb at the bottom of that area, when I put my thumb right here, my hand can reach the top fret easily. So that chunk on the back never interferes with my playing personally, and I have no issue with it. I mentioned we're going to talk more about screws in its review, and I'm going to talk about screws on the guitar a little bit more again later. And that's because PRS only uses 4 screws with the back plate to cover the trem. And listen guys, you're going to be like, again, Andre, you're being too nitpicky, who cares? But all of my other guitars, I have this lovely Dodgelico guitar. It has 6 screws on the back. I have my old school Parker knife locks. Those also have 6 screws on the back. We don't need 6 screws that we have to secure this small plate to the back of the guitar. So why put 6 screws there? It just takes more time to take it off. I'm happy that there's only 4 screws. If we can move to even less than 4 screws, even better, but I'm happy that they eliminated 2 screws here and 1 screw here and made the setup about 30 seconds quicker, but I do appreciate that. The rest of the guitar, of course, has this very nice wood color on the back, the same on the neck as it is on the body. And then, of course, we have this very nice, comfortable belly cut that matches the slight carve on the guitar. And as you have this against your body, man, it just feels nice. You may already know that I prop up all of my guitars with something like the Perform Axe I have right here, but that's not a this guitar thing. That's just what I do with all of my guitars. So overall, the body is very comfortable. The neck is very comfortable. Let's talk about the hardware and the pickups. So in terms of the bridge, on just about every other budget guitar that I buy, I immediately change out the bridge or install my own bridge. On my Dodgelico guitar back here that is of a similar price point, I put a Vega trem immediately. I don't have to change this trem whatsoever. In fact, I didn't even have to really adjust it. It just came basically perfect out of the box, ready for me to use it the way that I would like to use it. Like I said, I changed the strings, I adjusted the truss rod slightly, and then I backed out on the spring claw. But I didn't adjust the screws, I didn't adjust the height, nothing. In 10 minutes, this guitar was ready to play, and this trem feels amazing. It's silky, it's smooth, I don't have to change it. We have a push-in instead of a screw-in design, and you can adjust the tightness on the back. It's staying in tune great, even though these are new strings. I mean, I'm really impressed with how good this bridge is for the price point of this guitar, especially when we factor in all the other features, like the pickups. I'm in the middle of editing the video. If you appreciate the effort that I put into these videos, consider supporting me on Patreon. If you can't do that, give this video a like. I really appreciate it if you share it with someone who you think will enjoy it. I can confirm that these pickups sound fantastic. All right, so let's check out these pickups. I'm going from the guitar directed to my Axe FX3, and I'm on a Roland Jazz Chorus type setting. No chorus, just a little reverb, volume, tone all the way up on this guitar. Neck pickup. Very pretty, both together. Bridge. So I've noticed that these pickups almost sound hi-fi in a way, but they still have that traditional warmth of an old school style pickup. So again, these just sound totally unique to me, and it's a very interesting and a very unique sound. And you'll notice when we split them, they still maintain a lot of real character. So full humbucker on the bridge. So the neck split has a really nice stridey type sound. Now the one thing that I really like about this is that in the middle position with the split, we have a nice hum canceling sound. So full on middle position, both pickups. So overall, I say that these are really unique pickups. A lot of clarity, a lot of character, and all of the sounds, split sounds, full sounds, middle position, they all just sound good and useful. There's no one sound that I've found that I'm like, I won't be using that one. They all are really, really usable. So I'm excited to really play this guitar and get more into it. Now, if you noticed during the intro of the video, I was playing stuff with a lot of harmonics and a lot of sustained notes and a lot of dyads and triads. And I don't know exactly why that is the case, but with this guitar, when I play harmonics on this guitar, when I play dyads on this guitar, and bends, unison bends and things like that, everything just pops out and sustains and has a really beautiful character. Yeah. I'm really happy about that. Okay, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I will say that out of the box, the trem is set very nicely. If you're playing in the key of B flat, you play your little B flat chords. Then you hit that A string with the harmonic, and then bend up, half step. And it's like that with clean tones and with overdriven tones. So I don't know exactly how you do that with pickups, but these are definitely unique compared to all of my other guitars that I have at every single price point. These pickups and this guitar has a sound and inspires me to do things that I don't do on my other guitars. And really, that's what having multiple guitars is supposed to be about anyway. So I'm happy to see that. Now, finally, in terms of the controls here, we have something a little bit different, and I'm sure someone can explain in the comments, or you can watch a video explaining why the controls are wired this way. But we have the first volume knob controls the bridge pickup. The second volume knob controls the neck pickup. And then we have a master tone knob on the back. I've been using mostly the bridge pickup. And when I go to the neck pickup, I have the volume down a little bit just so that I can get a bit more of a rhythm tone. So that's how it's been working well for me. And I think the layout is an interesting choice. So overall, guys, this is, of course, just my initial impressions. I've only played this guitar for about 4 or 5 hours. But I can say that I've really enjoyed it so far. The setup out of the factory was really good, apart from that small truss rod adjustment. The bridge feels amazing. It's staying in tune. The pickups are inspiring. I don't have to change the tuners. I don't have to file the nut. When you get a guitar out of the box and it's essentially ready to play in 15 minutes, what else could you ask for? You know, what else could you really ask for? I think that this is going to be an important guitar for 2023. And listen, in 2022, PRS did the John Mayer Silver Sky SE, and that guitar broke the internet. This guitar is going to be that guitar for 2023, I'm pretty sure. But to give my final opinion on it, we'll have to test it for a lot longer, and we'll do that in the long-term review. Coming in a couple of weeks, couple months, we'll see when we get there. Before we go, I just want to let you know that if you enjoyed that intro clip, or if you enjoyed any of the stuff I've been playing during the pickup tests, I have a lesson on that type of stuff on my Patreon, link below, and I'll include the rest of the jam from the intro video at the end of this video. By the way, I'm Andre Flood, and I'll talk to you soon.